On this episode of In the Fight, a remote combat outpost becomes a tangible symbol of transition. U.S. troops begin to say farewell to their Afghan partners. A new type of equipment helps the Coast Guard complete its missions. We see what steps NATO is taking to defend itself from cyber threats. And a citizen soldier helps his community rebuild. The deadline for the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan is drawing closer, as is the transition for Afghan security forces to assume full responsibility for their own security. Army broadcasting correspondent Gail McCabe brings us this story.
As transition symbols go, Combat Outpost Sabari is a good one. Located in the middle of Khost Province, it is one of the last remaining U.S.-Afghan partnered SFAT sites in RC East. Officially, Cop Sabari was turned over to Afghan Authority last April, which means U.S. forces that live and work here are tenants.
We are partnered every day. We meet several times a day, sometimes with our Afghan partners, and we often go out with them on missions.
The missions are those of SFAT 12, a security force assistance team assigned to work with 3rd Battalion, 1st Brigade, ANA 203 Corps.
We're reducing our footprint. We're retrograding at this time, and the Afghans need to step up and take the lead.
And he says they have and are. For example, in the course of one day, the ANA Battalion XO led an armed convoy to territory used by the enemy as an infiltration point. There, along with his U.S. mentor, he executed an assessment for a future observation point to stop insurgent movement and protect the people. The inhabitants here are similar in community size and makeup as what's found in provinces throughout Afghanistan. Population that is looking more and more to their own security forces for long-lasting peace and stability. Back at the COP, another member of the SFAT team observes and guides machine gun familiarization.
That's okay.
And a short distance away, his colleague helps administer combat lifesaver classes. Every aspect of the day is Afghan-led.
We've seen over time that they're taking on the responsibility for themselves to conduct missions, to plan missions, to resource themselves, and to go after the enemy and defeat the enemy.
It's responsibility for themselves, their people, their country. It seems what's taking place at Cop Sabari is, by all reports, a tangible symbol of transition. Gail McCabe, Afghanistan.
U.S. troops in Afghanistan spend their entire deployments building strong working relationships with their Afghan counterparts. Airman First Class Kellen Carr takes us to northern Afghanistan, where service members share food and say farewell to their Afghan partners.
The 3-7 Cavs Dragoon Platoon head out on what will be their final mission to meet a local police commander. En route to their destination, they pass through villages, making a few stops along the way.
There's a current project going on along his route where his checkpoints are. It's called the Route Banana Road Project. Pretty big deal for the elders and the village people that live in the area as far as getting the road graded, graveled, and paved.
Members pulling security say their stops are in support of Afghan forces that already patrol the area to keep away insurgents.
Activity started happening again, so we just made sure that they saw that there was an American presence there and got the attention of any bad guys, to say, in the area.
The Dragoon Platoon pushes on to their final checkpoint, where the platoon leaders sit down and talk with the Afghan police commander, Nez Mohammed.
When we go out to Checkpoint 5, we usually start out, you know, greetings, how you been, what's been recent activity. As we get closer to our redeployment, we don't go out as much. They do a lot of stuff on their own, so we like to get an update of what he's been doing in and around his checkpoints, for his checkpoints.
While the platoon leaders are being briefed inside, the rest of the troops are offered Afghan cuisine outside.
Bigger bite than that.
The times we do take them up on their offer, it's great hospitality. They bring it out to us. It's definitely one of those gestures of, hey, we know what you do for us, and we want to do something back for you.
As they finish their meeting, they inform the Afghan commander that it will be their last mission before a new unit takes over and the 3-7 Cav redeploy back to the States.
Going out there and seeing Nez and just the glow on his face as you tell him that you're leaving, and he's glad that you're going home, but in a sense, I think it's a bittersweet moment for him as well, just for the fact that we build this relationship with our Afghan counterparts. But I think they're going to do just fine. You know, our replacements are coming in, they're going to pick up where we left off, and they're going to have plenty of time to prepare for U.S. Forces Afghanistan's departure in 2014.
Otherwise, I would have some gift.
No, that's quite okay. You stay safe, my friend.
Sergeant Trosper says he is confident the bond forged between U.S. and Afghan forces in their area is sure to continue long after they're gone. Airman First Class Kellen Carr, Kunduz Province, Afghanistan.
There is no rest for some U.S. service members that have returned home from the Middle East. Skills must be maintained in the event the U.S. military is once again called into action. Army Staff Sergeant Kashmir Jefferson files this report.
With the shift in mission from the Middle East to the Pacific Rim for the 25th Infantry Division, its soldiers and leaders must continue developing their technical and tactical skills to remain combat ready for any environment. Soldiers from the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 25th ID, conduct combined arms live fire exercises during Bronco Rumble.
This is their Super Bowl. This is a company live fire for a company is their Super Bowl.
Go jump into the fit, or the arm, I believe. Hey, you got the stand like
Bronco Rumble is a culmination of the last 6 months of training. So we started individual, doing to squad level training, to platoon level training, and now we're going to company level live fire.
25th Infantry Division Command Sergeant Major Ray Devins feels it's necessary for each component of the Bronco Brigade to shoot, move, and communicate as one for the exercise to be successful.
This needs to be the part where it's hard, you know, mentally and physically. Because you need to think, when do I use the aircraft? When do I use my UAS? When do I use, you know, the other teams that are out here to support me, snipers, machine guns.
They go from their resting heart rate to max heart rate in about 20 seconds, getting up that 60-foot cliff, and with all that gear. And then they have to fight.
With the exercise coming to a close, the 3rd BCT and its soldiers remain confident they'll be ready for whatever the mission is, wherever it is.
We gotta wait for the boom.
Reporting from Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, I'm Army Staff Sergeant Kashmir Jefferson.
Hi, I'm Specialist Tiffany Payne. I'm stationed here in Camp Air of John Kuwait, and I would like to give my mom and a sister and her kids a shout out in Eagleville, Pennsylvania.
Sergeant Michael Cassidy, Super 5, Afghanistan. I want to give a shout out to my wife Mary, my son Brandon, my daughter Emma. Love you guys. I'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Staff Sergeant Henry Borum coming to you from Camp Air of John Kuwait. I'd like to say hi to my wife and kids in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Mimi. Hi, Tiger and Trevor. I miss you and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, First Lieutenant Anthony Del Vecchio from 1st Platoon, Charlie Troop, 189 Cav. I just want to say a shout out. Hi to my mom and my beautiful wife sitting at home waiting for me to come home. I'm doing good.
Coming up, a new type of equipment helps the Coast Guard complete its missions. And we see what steps NATO is taking to defend itself from cyber threats. Check out DivotsHub.net for the latest, accurate, and reliable information as In the Fight continues. Who founded the United States Coast Guard? The answer when we return.
With the new Military 24/7 app from Divots, you turn your favorite mobile device into a window to the front lines. Connect with your nation's finest men and women through our video and photography archives and stay up to date with news reported directly from service members. Quickly share information and breaking stories with friends via Facebook, Twitter, or email. News, photos, video. Your military 24/7.
Who founded the United States Coast Guard? The answer is C, Alexander Hamilton. Service members must be proficient with the tools necessary to complete the mission. From armored vehicles to sophisticated weapon systems, trained military men and women must continually familiarize themselves with these tools on a daily basis. Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson Public Affairs correspondent Justin Conacher files this report.
The AT-4 is a very versatile weapon that soldiers today on the modern battlefield should be qualified and proficient with implementing any given situation that may require that weapon. The new soldiers coming in from basic training and AIT, it's important for them to get hands-on because you never know what you're going to get on the battlefield. As military police, we do combat patrols out to the stations where we train local national police to do their police duties in their country. So along those combat patrols, you never know what you're going to hit. They could run into tactical vehicles with mounted machine guns.
Good copy, Red Control.
If the soldiers on the battlefield came across a vehicle with a mounted machine gun and they were being attacked, this would be an excellent weapon. AT-4 would be an excellent weapon to use for that situation because it would quickly disable the enemy.
For that one combat situation where they may have to use it, that may be a weapon system that they have to use in defense of their life or to save their buddies. And also, we train these guys, these younger soldiers, so that when they become sergeants, team leaders, squad leaders, and platoon sergeants, they know the right way to do stuff. They know the right way to train their soldiers.
This training is important because every soldier needs to get familiarized with every weapon system that we fire on today's battlefield. Also, you never know what you're going to encounter downrange, whether it's an armored truck, a bunker, troops out in the open, anything that needs to be suppressed. You got to know how to use the weapon to get the job done.
Supplying the U.S. Armed Forces with the proper tools not only helps individuals do their jobs better, but safer. Petty Officer First Class Henry Dunphy shows us how a new piece of equipment is helping the U.S. Coast Guard do just that.
Green diver in the water when ready.
We stood up the lockers with just a scuba diving capability because that's all the Coast Guard had as collateral duty. Now that we're full-time divers, it's a natural progression to be safer and more capable by introducing this surface supply diving equipment like the Extreme Lightweight Dive System, XLDS, that we're fielding here. This particular diving equipment provides this hard hat and surface supplied gear. It allows us to completely encapsulate the divers and protect them from the water that they're diving in case there's moderately or heavily contaminated waters, for instance, oil or biological contaminations in the water. For instance, Hurricane Sandy and the aftermath, we didn't have this equipment. If we had this equipment, we would have been a very viable option to be used to go in afterwards and help with some of the recovery. So you can rely on the divers to be use their own skills as much as they need to down there, but they're not alone. They're supported completely by topside personnel with unlimited air supplies and the ability to call in other people and resources. Scuba divers don't have that, so we're improving our safety tremendously.
War is no longer restricted to land, sea, and air. The new battlefield takes place in cyberspace and is fought by men and women behind computers. NATO Channel correspondent Mike Muehlberger brings us his story.
NATO defense ministers are meeting in Brussels to hold the first ever dedicated review of the alliance's cyber defense efforts. It's a sign that the issue of cyber defense has reached the very top of NATO's agenda. Given the evolving nature of the challenge, the alliance needs to continuously develop its capabilities to improve threat detection, reduce vulnerabilities, and respond faster to attacks. These same issues were also the subject of a very different gathering in Amsterdam recently. At the IT security conference Hack in the Box, many of the world's leading hackers and IT security professionals learned about the latest trends and threats in cyberspace. Edward Schwartz works for RSA, an IT security company that counts NATO among its customers.
Many of the people here work in some aspect of computer network defense, whether it's working for a government agency, a bank, an energy company. They're going to try to figure out how can we get better at what we're doing. And that's really what this is about, is getting better techniques, becoming faster, becoming smarter. And these conferences that are technical in nature really help provide those capabilities and skills to these very elite technicians and engineers.
Jim Manico teaches webmasters to create more secure websites, both professionally and for a charity called OWASP. For him, sharing knowledge freely is all about leveling the playing field so that no one group, organization, or nation can get too far ahead of the game and dominate cyberspace.
This is like another new era. It's another form of weapon. It's the world of cyber. So I see the U.S. migrating into Army, Navy, Air Force, Cyber Force, Marines. It's a whole other branch of the military that I feel is needed. I think it's critical for NATO, just like you had to, once upon a time, build new aircraft and hire the first generation pilots and train them. And NATO is going to need to mature those capabilities. Just a fact of life right now.
Whether such cyber forces will be a fact of life in future remains to be seen. While the alliance is intent on developing its cyber defenses, the debate on how best to do so has only just begun. I'm Mike Muehlberger reporting for the NATO Channel from Brussels.
Hi, I'm First Lieutenant Jacoby Harper. I'm from Camp Air of John Kuwait. Just want to say hi to my family back in Homelstown, Pennsylvania. I love you and I'll see you soon.
Hey, this is Chief Warrant Officer 2, Mike Carroll. Just want to say hi back to my family back home. Also my wife Samantha, my daughter Elizabeth. Thinking about you guys all the time. Be safe. I'll be back in a few months. Love y'all.
Hi, I'm Specialist Roar. I'm here at Zarhausa with 189 Cav. Just want to give a shout out to my family, my friends, shout out to my wife, my son, and I'll see you guys soon.
Specialist Michael Ott, Super Fob, Afghanistan with Bravo Troop 189 Cav. I'd like to give a shout out to my family and friends, Mindy Ott, my wife, and my daughter Novely Ott. I'll be home soon.
Coming up, a citizen soldier helps his community rebuild. And we'll showcase some of the best photos from our service members as In the Fight, presented by Divids, continues. Which is the name of the current scale that rates the strength of tornadoes? The answer when we return.
I want to give a shout out to my family and friends.
I want to send a shout out to my husband,
to my parents, my family back home.
I'd like to give a shout out to my girlfriend.
To my family and friends in Lansing, Michigan.
To my family out in Tucson, Arizona.
To my beautiful wife and children in Des Moines, Iowa.
To everybody in Texas.
In York, Pennsylvania.
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Chicago, Illinois.
Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Orlando, Florida. Oceanside, California.
And Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
I love you guys. I miss you. And I hope I'll see you soon.
From combat-related stress to the day-to-day stressors of life.
This package is going to be completed.
This is the 4th time this week.
Stress can affect every Marine and Marine family. The De-Stress Line provides anonymous counseling for Marines and Marine families when it's needed most. If you're feeling the effects of stress, call today and let us help you win your personal battles.
Which is the name of the current scale that rates the strength of tornadoes? The answer is A, the Enhanced Fujita Scale. The EF5 tornado that ripped through Moore, Oklahoma last May caused catastrophic damage and changed the lives of the entire community. Army Master Sergeant Vincent Donaldson profiles a citizen soldier who knows a thing or two about dealing with devastation.
It is really similar. The sights you see from damaged homes from the war almost matches up with damaged homes from a tornado.
Specialist James Kimball of Moore, Oklahoma returned from Afghanistan a year ago, having deployed as a member of the 45th Infantry Brigade combat team.
A lot of the smells are the same. Basically, the same helplessness in people's eyes as well.
In one career, he wears the uniform of a disciplined soldier, a warfighter.
Being a warfighter, you're fighting against an enemy.
In the other, the uniform of a skilled employee.
Being a citizen soldier, you're helping out with your community.
Back towards where we were standing, spread out every about 10 or 15 meters.
They're good, sharp guys, you know, and they like to work, and you can give them something to do, and they'll do it. They'll stay late when nobody else wants to stay late.
I know every time I put on this uniform that I know that I'll possibly be swapping out that uniform the same day.
As a citizen of the community of Moore, devastated by a tornado May 20th, the call came once again to change uniforms and render aid to his stricken neighbors, as had the same National Guard unit done for his family at the May 3rd, 1999 tornado when Kimball was 7 years old.
I remember when the May 3rd tornado came through, I was living in Bridge Creek, and Bravo 179 was in my hometown helping out, and I always thought it'd be real cool to do the same thing they was doing. I was with them on deployment, and now I'm here helping out my hometown, same units.
As civilian authorities regained control, the streets cleared of wreckage, Specialist Kimball again changed uniforms. The job of a soldier done, Kimball returned to that of a citizen.
When I put this uniform on, I know it's mainly to help me survive, help pay the bills. That other uniform, that's to serve my community, that's to serve America and my state.
For the Oklahoma National Guard, I'm Army Master Sergeant Vincent Donaldson.
Without language assistance from local Afghans, it would be almost impossible for service members to train and mentor Afghan security forces. Airman First Class Kellen Carr sat down with one of these interpreters to bring us his heroic story.
The mission in Afghanistan could not be completed if there wasn't great communication between coalition forces and the Afghans. That is the job of an Afghan linguist or interpreter. Not only is the job important, it's also very dangerous.
I put my life at risk to help by working with the U.S. Armed Forces to help my people and my country.
Afghan interpreters and their families are frequently targeted during insurgent attacks, which makes most avoid the camera. But that's not the case for Ranger Eric. That's not his real name, of course, but it's the name he's gone by for many years to protect his identity.
When first started working with the Americans, they asked me that you have to pick a name because we can't call you by your real name, you know, because when we go to a village, so if we call you by your real name, they would recognize you. So I picked Eric.
He went from Eric to Ranger Eric in 2010 after being wounded in a firefight and then managing to save a U.S. soldier.
Their tactic was to get rid of the linguists first so they can have communication with their Afghan partners. So on that firefight, I was their target and I was hit by the 40 mag grenade in my chest, but I was lucky. It didn't blow up. Didn't detonate. Later on, there was a U.S. soldier who was shot in his leg, and so everybody started popping out from two sides, and I was not armed, so the only thing I could do was help the guy to LZ.
After getting the wounded soldier to safety, Ranger Eric was urged by service members to seek immediate medical attention, but he declined because he felt the mission was far too important.
I saw that there was the Afghan partners with them. I said, I refuse to go to the medevac for the treatment because I thought that if I leave these guys here alone with no language, so there would be no communication between them and the Afghans. So I refused to go for the treatment.
Eric said he's seen significant changes in his country since the U.S. and Afghan forces ousted the Taliban. And that alone, he said, makes the danger of his job worthwhile.
I told my family, that if I get killed, you don't have to complain, because what I have done by working with the U.S. Armed Forces, I will be never regret.
Eric said what he hopes to get out of all this in the end is a safer and more peaceful Afghanistan for his family, friends, and countrymen. Airman First Class Kellen Carr, Kunduz Province, Afghanistan.
DVIDS is a 24/7 operation that provides a timely, accurate, and reliable connection between the media and the military serving worldwide. Through a network of over 200 portable satellite transmitters around the globe and a distribution hub in Atlanta, Georgia, DVIDS gives you access to the front lines with live and archived broadcast video, still imagery, and print products. Visit our website at DVIDSHub.net and search through our enormous video and photo library. Register on our website to gain complete access to high-definition content along with breaking news alerts and webcasts from top military officials. For questions or comments about In the Fight or DVIDS, you can email us at ondemand@DVIDSHub.net or follow us on Twitter and Facebook. As we close, we feature some of the best photos that DVIDS has to offer as we listen to Eddie Horst's composition, Pangea. See you next time. In the Fight.